Colb's the Dallas Cowboys. They're sitting at home in their socks and Crocs.
Socks and Crocs. That's what I'm talking about. So for the audience, John is in fact going on vacation. He gets up at 2 a.m. Tomorrow morning so that he can get to the airport and be out of here by when's your flight, John? 5?
So our flight boards at 4:40. So that's when it starts boarding. So yeah, we'll be on the runway by 5:10.
You'll probably already be in the air. Anybody that's on that flight, you know that they have already planned for this. Like clearly all 7 people that are going to be on this thing, they knew they wanted to be there.
Well, that's one of those things too, like Logan Airport, right? Over here in Boston. That's a busy freaking airport. So I thought it was going to be completely dead, but Colb's, I've never seen a Dunkin' Donuts so busy in my life. I've never seen a Dunkin' Donuts so busy. Packed.
Well, yeah, I mean, you put a Dunkin' anywhere in Massachusetts, it's going to be one of the most packed places in Massachusetts. It's kind of like there's a new Chick-fil-A around here that there's always just a line of cars around it. You go to a Dunk in Mass anywhere, it doesn't matter where, anywhere in the state of Massachusetts, you can't get in. Like you're waiting for like an hour for your morning coffee.
I like that. And for our non-Northeast listeners, we see you, Seattle. We see you out there. There might not be any Dunkin' Donuts. And what that is a coffee shop. And it's a very popular one. There's one on every corner of every street between Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, probably New York.
We got a lot of them, but I mean, we got nothing on Mass. Those guys they found a way to make it like every corner of Massachusetts, like every intersection has a Dunkin'.
Colb's, there's a place over here called Mary Lou's where you could go get your coffee and you could get a pack of smokes in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of guys that was their method. I used to work at a Walgreens, John, and it would be 5 a.m. because I did overnights there. I was the overnight employee. So I'd be sitting there and 5 a.m. would roll around and I'd just start seeing a bunch of guys come in with their coffees and they were just showing up to get their pack of smokes for the day, or in some cases like 3.
Oh man, dude, that's the hard one right there. That's giving it an A+. I can't do that. That's too much for me. That's too much for me. But Colb's roundtable right here. I just want to say, ladies and gents, I won't be on the regular episode. Colb's will. All right. And Colb's might have some special guests. Colb's, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know. I still haven't reached out to anybody. I very well might just do it myself. It won't be on YouTube if that's the case, by the way. And chances are it won't be regardless. But obviously for the podcast listeners, this will not affect you. You won't have to deal with John's camera hijinks. So it'll just be straightforward podcast format. I don't know if I'm going to have anybody on or not, but we'll find out.
Colb, so you mean none of this?
Yeah, none of that. Which again, for podcast listeners, is not at all helpful because they do not know what you just did.
Yeah,
John just flashed a picture of me from when I was 24 or 25 years old.
So Colb's, here's the deal, right? For the podcast listeners, it leaves up to their imagination. So if they don't know what you look like, it's brewing. They're just waiting to come over here to YouTube. So type in Jacked and Ken, and you'll be able to see the videos. But ladies and gents, roundtable episode. We know how this starts. Colb's,
who's on top?
Woo! Eastern Conference in the NHL. Forget about OTL. Forget about points.
No, Panthers, just do points. Just do team and points. It'll be easy.
Panthers, 26-7, 5 OTL, 57 points. Metropolitan Division. Colb's, look who's on top over there. The Rangers, 25-10, 4 OTL, 54 points.
Why are you getting excited about the Rangers?
Huh?
Why have all season you've been excited about the Rangers? Why is that?
Because I feel like they've been the underdog for like a few years now.
Okay.
Right? I will say the Bruins, out of their last 10 games, 8-2 on a 5-game winning streak over there.
Yeah.
22-11, 2 OTL, 46 points. All right, so Bruins are still in the hunt over there. Western Conference Central Division, the Avalanche sitting on top, 25-8, 3 OTL, 53 points. Pacific Division, Colb's, I thought that they were pretty much out of it. The Golden Knights are back in it. They weren't doing that great at one point, but 23-15, 2 OTL, 48 points. Last 10, 4-4-2.
It's going to be
So,
odd in like 20 years when we're still doing the show and we're going to be like, the Knights never had a bad year, huh?
dude, you're probably going to be right there. 20 years from now, Seattle Kraken, hopefully they're going to be doing a little bit better, sitting at 11-23, 4 OTL, 26 points. Colbs, NBA standings, Eastern Conference. Bulls 27-15, the Heat 28-16, the Nets 27-16, the Cavs 27-18, the Bucks 27-19, 76ers 25-18, Hornets 24-20, the Wizards 23-21. Honorable mention over there to the Celtics 23-22 because I'm repping the shirt tonight. See that? Boston Celtics, baby. Here we go. Number 11, sitting the New York Knicks. Got to mention them 22-22. What the hell, Colbs? Damn, I thought it was a Knicks year. I was rooting for them. Not a big NBA fan, but I was rooting for the Knicks. Colbs, Western Conference Suns, 34-9. Dude, the Warriors, 31-12. Grizzlies, 31-15. Shout out to the Lakers. Same as the Knicks. Damn. 22-22, 500.
I will say for them, I was very happy. They got a win last night against Utah, and Utah is currently the 4 seed in the Western Conference. That's, I think, the first good win that the Lakers have had all year, and I'm not kidding. They've beaten up on most of the bad teams. Now, they've lost to a few bad teams as well, but I don't think they've actually beaten a legitimately top 4 seeded team for what is currently what would be the NBA playoffs. That's the first time that they've won an actual game. So I don't know what it means. I'm going to be honest. I don't have anything for you to tell you, hey, I think this is the turnaround and this is why. But they had a win against a good team. It made me feel really happy to see.
Hell yeah, man. Lakers are still in the hunt, dude. They ain't done. It's still early in the NBA season. Colbs, NFL. Man, I got to mention who's on top and who won the games there, but wow, that was a lot of craziness. I know we're going to be talking about it a little bit too. So, looking at this upcoming week here, divisional round, we got the Bengals going against the Titans. We got the 49ers at the Packers. We got the Rams and the Bucks, and we got the Bills and the Chiefs. Colbs, and that was my first week ever experimenting with betting.
I was hoping you were going to bring that up. I wasn't going to do it just out of respect for you. It did not go well for Johnny. He got to experience the woes of gambling.
It did go well, though, because remember, I put $5 down and I won $155 in real cash. Yeah, and that Steelers game, Steelers and Chiefs, remember? It was that pick.
Oh,
that
that's
bonus.
right. That's right. You had the promo.
Yes, with the promo. So I won $150 on that. But all the other bets, the Raiders lost. So lost money there. Who the frig else, Colbs? There was a couple.
You had the Pats too.
I had the Pats, and then I had Josh Jacobs for running more than 100 yards. Dude had 84 yards. It's like, man.
If they hadn't fallen behind the way they did,
he was going to get
100.
He was going to get it. And what I did notice here, going a little off topic, but with the sports betting world, it is so much fun. Obviously, we're in Connecticut. It's a legal state to go ahead and do that. Ladies and gents, if you're tuning in from a different state, I'm not endorsing it at all, but check it out if you want, if you're in one of those legal states. But all I got to say is, Colbs, it is so crazy. You could put a 10-cent bet and you could win $10 on something crazy. Like if somebody scores the touchdown for the first time of the game. It's like, oh, 10 cents? It's like, yeah, I kind of want to put 10 cents down.
John ends up calling me, and we had a 2.5-hour conversation on the phone because John had just gotten into it, and he's like, well, I think I'm going to do it. And he gets into it, and then he's just got all these questions. He's like, wait a minute, what am I looking at? What does this mean? What is this? What's this?
Sending screenshots to Colbs.
Literally 2.5 hours we were on the phone, and I loved every second of it because not only do I love talking to John, but I found the conversation to be incredibly interesting. It's right up my alley.
And
so
not
for
to
me,
mention,
that was awesome.
Not to mention Joe Jr. got in there too, so it continued for
got in there.
So that was awesome, dude. But Colbs, it's fun, man. I don't mind putting the 25-cent bets down and see what happens. Like To be continued. To be
No, I'm telling
continued.
you, John, that's why I stick with the $5 because I don't know what's wrong with these people out here tossing 100 and 300 and 500. There's something wrong with you guys, unless you really just have that much extra money at your disposal, which good for you. But I mean, I have extra money at my disposal. I keep it in a bank account.
That's what's wrong. You'd be winning a lot more money, Colbs, if you stuck with your gut.
I actually might be for the most part. I mean, this season, I think I would have won some. I don't think I would have won a ton, but I would have won some.
Colbs, everybody's talking about the Dallas Cowboy games versus oh my God, I'm drawing a blank.
The Niners, John. And we're
Thank
going
you,
to talk
Colbs.
about all the games that did take place. We're also going to talk about all the upcoming games.
Oh,
But, John, here's where I'm going to transition us. Now, the power rankings traditionally is the top 10 teams, but I'm just going to rank for everybody the 8 teams remaining. By the way, the Colts has it. So, number 8, San Francisco. I think that they are the weakest team that's left in the playoffs, and ultimately it comes down to the quarterback. We'll talk a little bit more about that later.
Jimmy G.
Number 7, the Tennessee Titans. Again, they keep winning, man. So I have a hard time saying that they're not a really dominant team, but they don't ever look dominant, especially when Derrick Henry's not in the lineup. So we're going to have to see what that looks like this weekend. Number 6, the Cincinnati Bengals. Woo! they are just torching right now. We're going to talk more about that later too, but I mean, my God, they look good. Number 5. Oh, one other note about Cincinnati. I do believe that they have the weakest remaining roster in the NFL playoffs. So we'll see how that comes into effect. Number 5, the Los Angeles Rams, who I do not trust at this point.
Wow.
But they have showed to me that they are a very good football team. Well, John, that low, they're number 5. There's only 4 teams in front of them. And when I list off these teams, you're going to understand.
I thought you were going to say like 3 at least.
No, God, no. No, not over that. Number 4, John, the Buffalo Bills, because they are the best and worst team in football. And it's just a matter of what you get every week. And right now, with 8 teams remaining, if they're the best team for the next 3 weeks, hey, they just won a Super Bowl. Number 3, the Tampa Bay Bucks. It's Tom Brady. Never count him out. And I'm probably going to be kicking myself at the end of this for even having him this low. Number 2, Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers is pissed. And number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs, because they are, in fact, better than you.
You miss saying that. You miss saying that.
Oh, my God. It's felt so good these last few weeks.
Well, the beginning of the season, you couldn't say that. So you
no, they were like 3 and 4. I was looking at it. I'm like, wait a minute. I can't keep saying the Chiefs are better than you with a losing record.
It would have been funny if you stuck with it, though, because of how they ended.
You should have.
You should have.
Well, see, here's the funny thing. If the Packers end up having a losing year next year with Green Bay or with Aaron Rodgers there, I can still say Aaron Rodgers is pissed. It still works.
It still works. So you got to stick with Kansas City, and that has to be their slogan going forward. It doesn't matter if they're losing
just
or
for the
not.
Next 10 years, it's just that they're better than you.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So we're going to talk a little bit about the last games that took place here. So obviously the first game that we had was the Raiders-Bengals game, John.
Oh,
and
dude.
One takeaway I had from the Raiders is I don't know that Derek Carr didn't outplay Joe Burrow.
I know.
And I mean that seriously. Joe Burrow, and he looked good again. Joe Burrow has not looked bad in several weeks. However, Derek Carr just keeps showing that he is one of these, I don't know if I'd say elite. I feel like that's just too strong. But if I said that Derek Carr is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, I might get some argument, but I think I could back my side of that argument. So even though I think that Joe Burrow is a spot or two better than Derek Carr, I don't think that this is a mass gap in between the two of them. And I think it showed last week. I really think that Derek Carr had a better overall game than Joe Burrow did. It's just that the Bengals as a whole had a better game than the Raiders did. And John, when I look at something about the Bengals that's a little bit different that I haven't really necessarily seen the same way until this week, Jamar Chase showed himself to be a true wide receiving weapon, not just somebody that you throw on a straight path downfield and hit him for 40 yards. He showed that he can do some of those smaller routes. He can actually make a game out of it, where he had 9 catches for 116 yards. I think that's something to really look into, because if Jamar Chase gets that part of his game just as good as he has just running in a straight line like DK Metcalf has, he's going to be one of the most dominant receivers over the next 8 to 10 years.
Who picked him in fantasy, baby? That's all I got to say. Who said that connection with Burrow at the beginning of the
That's
year?
it. That's all you got on that one?
That's all I got to say.
Fair enough.
Hector, I said what I said.
So we're going to move over to the Pats-Bills game. One, a lot of people have been crushing Mac Jones for not looking so good against Buffalo here. And all I would say is don't overreact to Mac Jones having a bad game against the Buffalo defense that has been one of the better defenses in the NFL this year. And I don't mean top half. I mean like top 10, maybe top 5. They've been a very good defense. And Mac Jones came out there and he did what he could. And it wasn't that much. I agree. It didn't look anything like what you saw from the other side with Josh Allen. But don't overreact to Mac Jones losing that game. That is not a end-all, be-all for Mac Jones by any stretch of the imagination. When it comes to something that I noticed about Buffalo, they are, again, and I will continue to say this, the best and worst team in football. They were just the best team in football last week. I don't think anybody in the league is beating that version of the Buffalo Bills. It's just a matter of, can they do that week to week? Because they've shown that they're incredibly inconsistent. They don't play the same way from week to week. And I don't know what I'm going to see from them next week. They might come out and get totally blown out next week. I have no idea. But again, they have the ability to be better than I think everybody, including Kansas City, John. So I'm very interested to see how that game's going to go. And we're going to talk a little bit about that later. One thing I caught from the Eagles-Bucks game that we'll talk about for a minute here is that the Eagles and the Steelers both, and I'll say this when we get to that game as well, they both just showed that they were the two teams that didn't belong. Once upon a time, there was a 12-team format in the NFL playoff, and that has recently subsided to now having an expanded 14-team playoff. Those are the two additional teams. Neither one of those teams should have been there. I think it's very easy to tell, and the Eagles showcase that.
Bad.
Now,
very
one
bad
thing that I took away from the Bucs side of this, John, Tom Brady got to kind of sit there and just have a game. He didn't have to go out there and win the game. He didn't have to go out there and be heroic. Yep. Tom Brady, the statue, what I think should be the new Captain America. I know that was Roger Staubach's thing, but I feel like that's Tom Brady these days. Now, he didn't have to do any of that, which means he got to kind of just sit it in the tank. He's keeping it in there. And you know what? Now he's going to have to play some bigger opponents here. And we're going to have that heroic power that hasn't even been shown in a couple of weeks. I think that that's really good for the Bucs going forward. Now, when we move to the San Fran-Dallas game, I have to say that Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, is proving that he will not only not win with this team. I did not word that correctly. But he will not only not have success with this team as far as Super Bowl titles go, but I don't think he can with any team because this roster, as currently constituted, is one of the best in the NFL. And Jimmy Garoppolo is the flaw. I think San Fran moving forward, moving into next year, I think they're really going to have to see what they have out of Trey Lance because I don't think that what San Fran has here is enough for them to get a title. And I think that realization needs to come sooner or later. They had to do it once upon a time with Colin Kaepernick over Alex Smith, who was a much better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo currently is. So I think that we're going to have to see something like that happen next year. I wouldn't do it now in the playoffs because I don't think that Trey Lance is ready to just come in there out of nowhere and, oh, yeah, it's your team now. I don't think it works that way. But I think that's something they have to do going forward. And, John, from the Cowboys' perspective, I just have to say, man, I feel bad to an extent for Cowboys fans because even though a lot of Cowboys fans are obnoxious, I just can't help but think to myself, over my lifetime, I've seen them win one playoff game outside of when I was incredibly young, like young enough that I wasn't really even watching football. And I feel bad. They're always in the playoffs and then out in the first round. It's terrible for them. Like, right away. That has to hurt, John.
Right away, man. That was a brutal one to watch, dude. And people are blaming it on the refs and everything, but you can't let it get that far in the game. You just can't. Like, you can't have it be that close.
You should never have to blame the refs for your loss. What you should do is win the game before it can become the refs' undoing.
Mm-hmm. Hey, something I wanted to share too, Colbs. A little off topic here, but The Rock was talking a little XFL with the Mannings. I don't know if you saw.
I heard that he was on the Manning cast. I didn't listen to what he said.
I just had to drop it. I just have to make that mention. It's coming back, baby. It's coming
Fair
back.
enough. I'm happy for you.
Thank you. I'm happy for you because I'm going to get you on it.
Oh, okay, good.
Do you still have that Seattle Dragons hat?
Yeah, I haven't thrown out any of the hats you gave me. I still got
Thank
it all.
God you didn't throw it out.
As far as the Pittsburgh Kansas City game, I don't need to say anything more about Pittsburgh. I covered it with the Eagles game. Good luck playing against Patrick Mahomes. If he's going to play like that, Pittsburgh has a good defense, and I understand that they're on the field a lot, so they're tired, but Patrick Mahomes ripped them to pieces, man. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, if he's going to play like that, you're not beating Patrick Mahomes. The only chance is if Josh Allen and the Bills play the way that they just did. And God, do we have that matchup coming up. The last game of the week here with the Cardinals and Rams. Kyler Murray simply cannot play when he's hurt. He can't play through injury. It just doesn't happen. In all seriousness, we've seen this now for both last year and this year. Kyler Murray, when he is hurt, he does not play to the capacity that he does when he's healthy. And I know that can be true and said about all players, but the level of what looks like talent even just decreases massively. It goes from somebody that I would say is a top, right about the top 10 threshold of quarterback in the NFL. I say it takes it from there and it brings it down to he's like maybe 14th, 15th when he's playing like this.
Dude, they look just like the Eagles and the Steelers, like they didn't belong there either. That was
brutal. And the other takeaway from this game, John, is that I still don't know that I trust Matt Stafford at all. He didn't look particularly great either. I mean, when I looked at that game, the Rams kind of ran away with it as a team, but I didn't see anything from Matt Stafford that made me go, oh, good, he got it fixed. They're going to be set.
Maybe it was the same thing like a Brady game where you could just kind of sit back and go, you know what? I'm not going to get any hate for this one.
So, John, we're going to talk a little bit about the games coming up for this week. All right. We're going to transition here. We're going to have some fun. We're going to do the thing that sports talk radio is all about.
What's that?
So, John, first game that we have is Cincinnati at Tennessee.
Oh, you bastard.
Tennessee's -3.5. Personally, on the spread here, I do think that I would take Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's going to win this football game. There's a couple things that I want to mention about this game, and then we can talk openly about it.
Are they the underdog?
Tennessee's favored by 3.5.
They're favored. Okay, I missed that part. All right.
Yep. So from Cincinnati's perspective, and I wrote down some of what I think some of the stories are going into the game. Can Joe Burrow stay this hot? Because in the last 3 games, he has thrown for 1,215 yards, 10 touchdowns, and no picks. And his quarterback rating, something astronomical, like it doesn't exist. By the way, while I was looking this up, I noticed that his career quarterback rating is 100.2, which is significantly higher than anybody else. I think Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson are right now 1 and 2 of all time. And Joe Burrow currently is outdoing them. So just keep that in mind when you think about Joe Burrow. But if he can stay this kind of hot, he's not fading. He's not going to get beat until he faces a Mahomes, a Brady, a Josh Allen. Like, he's not going to just go out there and lose to whoever. Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, I was going to say nobody else is like you just named everybody else other than Ryan Tannehill.
So from Tennessee's perspective, we hear that Derrick Henry is kind of a game time decision, right? And what that tells me is that Derrick Henry isn't going to be coming back 100%, even if he does come back. So that tells me, on top of that now we have to look at, can Tennessee outdo what Joe Burrow is doing right now if Derrick Henry isn't in there running the ball 33 times for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns? And I think the answer to that is cleanly no. I don't think it's close. Honestly, I think the score is. I just don't think that there's a shot in hell that Tennessee wins this game if Derrick Henry doesn't come in there and run the ball for a lot of success. John, do you got anything on that game?
Yeah, well, Derrick Henry obviously hasn't played in a little while. In the last 2 games that he did play there in October, he didn't have that rate of an outing, staying below that 3 yards per attempt for rushing. Hopefully it's been enough time for him where he's feeling healthy and can come back feeling, it doesn't sound like he's going to be 100%, but 90%. Because if he's not, I don't know. It could be a mess.
No, exactly. I'm glad that you're with me there, John. You're listening to reason on that game. I thought there would be a hopeful
But I'm very hopeful that Ryan Tannehill can go ahead and
There it
prove
is.
all the haters wrong. And people say, "Oh, he's the least talented quarterback in there." No, Ryan Tannehill, you got it
Oh, no. I'm not suggesting he's the least talented quarterback left. That's Jimmy Garoppolo.
down.
Speaking of, John, we're going to move over to San Fran Green Bay, which is the next
Oh
game on the
God,
docket.
nice transition into that one.
That just happened by circumstance. They were the next game I had written down.
There you go.
Green Bay here is -6. And I think that the takeaways here, personally, if I was picking that game, I'd take San Fran on the spread, but I wouldn't
Wow.
want to take that game. And here's why, John. So throughout the last 5 years, Kyle Shanahan has faced off against the Packers 4 times rather. And it's been a 2-2 split. I believe 2 of them were blowouts for San Fran, one of which being in the NFC Championship game. So I don't have any hesitation to say that Kyle Shanahan's going to be able to at least keep this game close. Now, do I think that they win this game? Absolutely not. And I'd be more apt to take Green Bay, even with the points, than I would to say that San Fran gets the upset here. I just think that San Fran's going to be able to keep this game close. This will be a 3 or 4 point game, and Green Bay will have to fight through this. This is not the opponent that they wanted to face. San Fran can pound the ball. They do all sorts of things to keep your quarterback off the field. This is exactly the matchup that Green Bay did not want, but this is what they have, and I still think that Green Bay is good enough that they beat them inevitably. But I think this game's very close, and I think San Fran is as hot as they can be considering that they have a limited quarterback.
Damn, Coles. Okay, you think it's going to be that close of a game?
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you not?
I don't know. If Aaron Rodgers is pissed, he's going to try to prove a point.
I like it. That'll take, John. That's the analysis that I want on this show. Aaron Rodgers is pissed, so we don't know what he's going to do. Next game we got, John, is the Los Angeles Rams at the Tampa Bucks. So what I have here, if you remember in week 4, the Rams went to Tampa and they beat Tampa by 10. And I had called that game going that way at that time. And the reason being was I said that there's always going to be a team like LA that's saying, okay, this year we are here. This year, this is our year. And Tampa just won the Super Bowl. This game doesn't matter as much to them. That was week 4. We're in the divisional round of the playoffs now. This game matters to Tampa. This is not going to be something where Tampa just goes, yeah, we're going to go out there and play. No, they're going to be giving you everything they got. I would absolutely take Tampa -3 here because I don't trust Matt Stafford. I think the pass rush will end up inevitably getting to Matt Stafford. And when Matt Stafford's under pressure, Matt Stafford does Matt Stafford. And what Matt Stafford does is throw interceptions at bad times. Now, Matt Stafford's going to make sure that the Rams put up some points here. I do not think that this is going to be something that's 35-10, but I do see this game being something like 35-23.
Okay.
I think that Tampa's going to win this game pretty thoroughly. I would absolutely take the over in this game, which I have yet to do in the playoffs, by the way. I took all unders last week. So we'll see what I do this week. It got me a 4-2, though, so I'll take
Colbs. There you go.
Yeah, better
man.
than I did on both the spreads and picking even straight winners. So, and that's why I don't bet a lot of playoff games, in all seriousness, because once the playoffs start, all the stuff that I know about football and all the stuff I'm good at, it starts to vanquish. It goes away.
Unpredictable.
It's just because, the teams are all very good. So it's tough to know how's this team going to match up with this team. And that's more so what you have to look at with playoff games is what's the matchup? What is the distinct advantage that this team has over the other one to where they don't have anything to overdo or overcompensate for what it is that you're bringing to the table? So the other piece of this is that I think that the Bucs are just going to play this game steady. They're not going to come out there and try to put on a fireworks show. I think they will inevitably score a decent bit, but I don't think that they're going to go nuts with the playbook. I think they're saving that for Green Bay next week. And it can't be a look-ahead game, but I think the Bucs have this well enough if they just play their game. Now, the last game on the docket, John, Buffalo at Kansas City. This is the game I am most excited about.
I'm so curious what you got to say for this.
So Kansas City's -2. So I've already put down the money on Kansas City here because I think that is too close, because essentially if you're saying it's less than a field goal, you're saying that you pretty much think that the other team's going to win. And I don't
Okay.
think the Buffalo's winning this game in Kansas City. Again, Buffalo might come out there and throw up 13 points. They're also the worst team in football, so I don't know what I'm getting. But what I do know is that I am excited as hell for this matchup. I hope this thing is like 38-35, fireworks everywhere. But
Mahomes
here's
scrambling, Allen scrambling, throwing.
Oh, yeah, and when Allen scrambles, it looks like the most dangerous thing in sports because he'll do everything, man. He'll put in the 110% effort. He'll run you over, and he's gonna hurdle for the first down, which is a move that got pretty much banned from the NFL because of how much it gets people hurt.
Mhm.
So, Josh Allen's just nuts. There's something wrong with him, but the amount of talent between those two quarterbacks is so fun. I cannot wait to watch this. So that's going to be a little bit of the obvious headline of Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. Oh my God, what do we do? Obviously, let's just sit back and watch the fireworks. I don't have anything for you on that. I just want to see it happen.
Me too.
I think the winner of this game undeniably goes to the Super Bowl.
Colbs, I did tell Rose that we're probably going to watch a little bit of the football games on the boat.
Oh, good. That's a win. So will I. I'll be on vacation. So
you too. Cheers.
Yeah, we'll both be on vacation. I got
Water
2 more
bottle.
days to work. The other piece to this, so I do think that whoever wins this game does move on to the Super Bowl. I think that either of these teams beat out Cincinnati or Tennessee. I really do. I don't think that that's necessarily something that I'm looking at and going, well, what if? No, as far as I'm concerned, the winner of this game is going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this year. Again, John, what Buffalo do we get? Do we get the good Buffalo that played last week and smoked New England, absolutely creamed New England? Or do we get the Buffalo that lost to Jacksonville? I don't know. I just don't know. And I really hope that we see the good Buffalo. And ultimately, I want to see Kansas City win this game because I want Mahomes to be the new Brady. I really do. I'm just rooting for it. I just want Mahomes to keep winning Super Bowls time and time again. However, if Buffalo wins, man, I'm behind them in the AFC. I mean, I would also not be pissed if I see Cincinnati in the Super Bowl, but I really don't think that they're that good. And in the NFC, I just want to see Rodgers, Brady again. Pick a winner. I'll take either one of them.
Yeah.
Now, the last part of the Chiefs-Bills game, what Chiefs offense do we get? Because this season, they haven't looked the same as they have over the course of the last 2 years. So do we get the Kansas City Chiefs a week 6 that were just, and granted, maybe that was a week that they went off, by the way, so don't quote me to specifically that week. But do we get an earlier season Chiefs or even later in the season? There's been a lot of games they've won based on defense and being able to put up 20. Do we get that, or do we get the 5 touchdowns we just got from Mahomes last week? Here's one thing, John, that I noticed too, and I didn't write this one down. Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes both had 5 touchdowns last week. Can I please have that again? Can I please have that again?
That would be nuts. 10 touchdowns.
I want it. I want it, John.
That doesn't happen ever.
I cannot wait for that game, man. I am going to put everything aside to watch that game. The kids are getting put to bed. This is going to be one hell of a matchup, man. I really just hope that we get the best of both teams and that this thing is the firework. I want it to be that Monday night Rams-Chiefs game from like 3 years ago. That's what I ultimately want. I want 54-51. I don't care who wins.
I love it, man. I'm excited too. I can't wait. It's the best time of the year for football. XFL's coming. I'm so pumped.
John, I just got so animatedly happy for the first time in about a year and a half. And that's what you hit me with.
I love it. I love it, man. I love it, dude. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm thinking about putting down a couple of 25-cent bets. We'll see where they go. I'm pumped for that. That's what I'm excited for. I want to see if I win $6.
$6. That's the spot, huh? That's the sweet spot.
I didn't even
Get
put
you another
$5
beer on the boat.
$1, $2. That's it. Buy a beer with it.
I think John learned quickly the woes of gambling and that he doesn't want to put more than a couple of bucks down on a game now.
I think so. I think the 5 I'm like ruined. Now I just had to bump it down to $2.50. I cut it in half.
Jesus, John.
It happens, man. What else do we got tonight, Colbs? Are we
John,
wrapping
that was
it
all
up?
the subject matter that I brought to the table. I figured if you wanted to bring anything to the table, hey, it's a round table, man. It's not one-sided. So if you got anything, I'm here. Let's talk about it.
Roundtable, Kolbs. I'm just going to go ahead and square it up, man. Vacation for me, vacation for Kolbs. Keep an eye out, rate, review, subscribe. New materials coming. If you haven't checked out the video podcast, you're missing out on a lot of great things, and you just didn't get that right there because you didn't see the video. So you got to go to the video and see what I just did on there. The picture of Kolbs.
One thing additionally here that I have to point out, me and John are going to try to do better at figuring out what day and time that we're going to be doing these live episodes so that we can actually promote it for our listeners, so that you can see on social media, hey, Jacked and Can's going to be live. I can live comment on their posts and everything, because we actually have it pulled up to where we could read it. But the thing is me and John never actually plan out until like 6 hours before we do the show. And at that point, there's really not a lot of time to go through and do it. And we still don't usually have an exact time till we sit down at the chairs. So I will promise the audience that we will do better in trying to get the information as to where you can find us live out there quicker and in a way where you can join us live so you can interact with us in a way. John, with that said, everybody rate, review, subscribe, check us out on YouTube, check us out on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be coming to you without a John for the next episode. But as far as tonight goes, John, we wish you a great vacation, sir. I hope you have fun. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Jacked and Can.